His resurrection is living in me. The same glory, the same witness. His resurrection is living in me. You are living in me. The liberator is in the house. The sound of healing is breaking out. Step into the freedom. Step into the freedom we found. Whoa. The God of heaven is speaking now. His word is tearing our shoulders down. Step into the freedom. Step into the freedom we found. Come on, come on, come on. Step into the freedom. Step into the freedom. Step into the freedom we found.
Life you've given is all I'm needing. All I need is you. I am running into your arms, running straight to you. I hear you calling, always calling, calling me to you. Your arms are open, always open. All I need is you. I just wanna tell you that I need you. I can't get enough of your love. I just wanna tell you that I need you. I can't get enough of your love. Whoa, you're all I need, all I need. Your love is everything, everything. Forever, you're all I need, all I need. Your love is everything, everything. Oh, 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 oh. Life you've given is all I'm needing. All I need is you. I am running into your arms, running straight to you. I hear you calling, always calling, calling me to you. Your arms are open, always open. All I need is you. I just wanna tell you that I need you. I can't get enough of your love. I just wanna tell you that I need you. I can't get enough of your love. Whoa, you're all I need, all I need. Your love is everything, everything. Forever, you're all I need, all I need. Your love is everything, everything. Oh, 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 oh. I just wanna tell you that I need you. I just wanna tell you that I need you. I just wanna tell you that I need you. Oh, 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 oh. I just wanna tell you that I need you. I need you. I need your love. I just wanna tell you that I need you. Oh, I just wanna tell you that I need you. I just wanna tell you that I need you. I just wanna tell you that I need you. I need you.
I'm drenched in love that won't cease to fall. So fall on me, crush me like a wave and pull me out to sea. Wash and raise me up because I've been set free by a love that won't cease to fall. I'll never be the same now that the old is gone, let the new begin. You bled for my sin. I'll never be the same now that the old is gone, let the new begin. Oh, let the new begin. All my chains are gone, they fell away like embers from a burning tree, scattered by the wind, never again to be seen, buried by a love that won't cease to be. I'll never be the same now that the old is gone, let the new begin. You bled for my sin. I'll never be the same now that the old is gone, let the new begin. Oh, let the new begin. I'll never be the same. Of heaven sings for me in the love that saved my soul. Yes, all of heaven sings for me in the grace that saved my soul. All of heaven sings for me in the love that saved my soul. Yes, all of heaven sings for me in the grace that saved my soul. I'll never be the same now that the old is gone, let the new begin. You bled for my sin. I'll never be the same now that the old is gone, let the new begin. Oh, let the new begin. I'll never be the same now. I'll never be the same. I'll never be the same now. Still my heart, quiet all the noise around.
First things first, I'm gonna need everyone to wear this awful neon colored t-shirt everywhere we go, because what's the point of serving in a third world country if people in America don't know we're doing it? We do not have time to help that lady with her bags, okay? The mission doesn't start until we get to the country. Does everyone have their passport? We are splitting up, guys and girls. Y'all cannot sit together on an overnight flight. Absolutely not. Does anyone in this group speak any Spanish at all? Nobody. Okay, perfect. Day 1 is gonna be a rest day, okay? We need our rest. Day 2 is gonna be a shopping day, all right? Your grandparents and aunts and uncles have paid a lot of money for you to come down here. What better way to say thank you than some crocodile earrings? No, you cannot buy a djembe. How are you gonna get that home? Day 3 is a Sunday. We're gonna go to church, all right? This is a super amazing church we're going to. but we're not going to understand anything because it's going to be in a different language. Does everyone have their passport? Day 4, you guys, is when we really get down to business. We're going to paint a school. Are there skilled painters in that country that could probably do a better job than us? Yes, there are. Does this country have high unemployment and they could probably use the work? Again, also true. Was this school painted last week by the mission team that came before us? Again, yes. But that's not important, okay? We're gonna paint the school and we're gonna get some photos to send back to the church. I swear, if one more person loses their passport. Listen, guys, I understand things are gonna be difficult, we're gonna get tired, but we must never waver from our goal to get photos with minority children for our Facebook profiles.
Good morning, everybody. So that is not what we're shooting for with the victory trip. I hope you guys know that. My name is Farrell Brown. I'm the missions pastor of Victory, and we're gonna go on some trips. Thank God. Many of you may or may not know, but we canceled almost, I believe it was 27 trips last year, one after another. Kept thinking maybe we would cancel them literally one at a time, 1 week at a time. No, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. So personally, I'm very excited that we are having trips. So I hope you are also. And we're excited to have you guys here today. We're going to go over each trip and really talk to you guys about it. We have new goals with our new senior pastors. They've given us some fantastic new goals that we won't talk about that so much today, but it involves how you can find your calling here in Atlanta from a trip, from a missions trip, right? And so that's going to be another exciting thing that you'll be learning about from your trip leaders as you're going. But I just want to say one more time, we're going on trips, so it's exciting. Yeah, you can clap for that. So I am a figurehead to a degree, just like the missions pastor. We have an incredible team of both volunteer and staff leaders. First and foremost, we have Wayne Wasmus for this campus. He's right here. Wayne, come on up here, man. You can race up here real quick. Wayne Wasmus is the international lead for the Norcross campus. We also have Charles and Kristen Santa Maria. You guys come on up real quick. They are our Hamilton Mill volunteer leads for the international trips. If you attend Hamilton Mill, you'll see them in the lobby, and they would be who you'd ask. Hey, I haven't heard from my leader. Or, hey, I need to make a deposit. Or, hey, what do you know about the Ecuador trip? Something like that. Same thing for Wayne here in the Norcross campus. We are identifying somebody currently for our campus at Midtown and working towards that. Also, Mariama Johnson Warren, is she in here? They may still be out working. Where are you, Mariama? She's our admin and puts together a lot of these trips and things. I don't think she's in. And then Pastor Alex Anafils, who's trying to, come on up, Alex. Pastor Alex Anafils, associate pastor of missions and the real talent behind this department. So has put together this today and everything else. So this is our team, and we're proud of them. So thank you. You can give them a hand. Thank you so much. So let's kind of just quickly do an overview of what to expect today. We are going to have a period of time where I kind of just quickly go through the trips and things. We're going to talk about, just in a general way. And then as you can tell, we've kind of set this up like a trade show where you're going to have some time to go and talk to the leaders. A leader or representative of every single trip going next year is present in the building today. And we're excited about that. So after that, we'll come back, do a little bit more of just an understanding of how to get signed up, what to do, how to get on a trip, some expectations. And then finally, we'll have a part where we talk about fundraising. That's just me telling my story about what I know about fundraising, things of that nature. And truth be told, some people, if you're just somebody that can stroke a $4,000 check, you're welcome to leave before that. But if you're planning, we don't have any $4,000 trips, I don't think. But if you're needing to do fundraising, we will talk about that some, and then you'll also be trained by your team. So, real quick, we have a little bit of raffle time. Did everybody get a blue ticket? We like to do fun stuff. By the way, I'm up here because we're recording this. We have several members that are quarantining at home that wanted to be here today, and so we decided to record. We don't normally get up on the stage. We're not a stage department like Stephen Hadaway and some of the others that are always on camera. But anyway, everybody got your blue ticket? Would anybody like to be $250 further down the road? How about 037109? What's that? Only zeros? What? Come on up. Or here, actually, come take this ticket from me, because that way you have to be seen. And then we will, all right, let's give her a hand. $250 towards a trip. Very cool. You'll get with Alex in just a moment. How about another 250? Goodness. All right. 037099. All right. There you go, man. All right. Awesome. Very cool. You guys get with Miss Alexandra Fills, and she will set you guys up. Pastor Alexandra Fills, and she will set you up for that. I feel like I missed something, no? All right, so let's take a quick look at the trips real quick. And it's written on something that no one over 40 would be able to read on my sheet, so I'll be doing this for you guys. So this is in no specific order other than maybe the time of departure, so we're not playing any favorites here. Vida, Guatemala. Everybody knows we have the fantastic Victory Vida campus here. This is their trip. They've been doing this annually except for last year for quite a number of years. Really fantastic trip. You do need to speak very fluent Spanish to be a part of that trip. But that is our Vida trip. That is going in February, our first trip off. $2,200. Going to be, they do a ton of things. They work in marriage ministry, family ministry, work with the a school there. We have a school called the Jungle School in Guatemala that has up to 600 kids that come literally out of the jungle every day. It's amazing. Some of the teachers, they've been doing this so long now. These are friends from Bible school, from Pastors Dennis and Colleen Rouse, that literally they have teachers now, college graduates that went through that school that now teach at that school. Isn't that really incredible? So great opportunity there. One of our family trips, something that Pastor Johnson is pushing, is he believes every single Victory family every family member should go on 3 international trips in their life and Israel. So get ready. So there you go. This is a family trip to Mexico. I believe that is spring break. And a great cost for that. That is at a base that we actually own. When you see Mexico, for every time we say Mexico this year, that is actually a base that Victory owns and operates. Some of our church member, a family, the Thomas family, live there with their 2 children and run our trips down there. Incredible opportunity, and a trip that, if this is one of your first time, very affordable, things of that nature. The adult Philippines trip, also same month, that is going to work with Wipe Every Tear. That is a team that has been going, I believe this is our 3rd year out of 4 years. We would have gone last year. We just could not get to the Philippines. But Wipe Every Tear is a tough ministry. It is pulling girls out of sex trafficking. There is an entire method of how Filipino girls are put into that process. This is an incredible ministry. They literally pay the debt that is, it's an evil way that a debt is placed on that girl's life, and they pay the debt and get these girls in college. We will be doing what's called a girls getaway, where we take them to an island for a week and start showing them other girls that have been rescued, showing them you can have a life other than prostitution. And it's an amazing, amazing experience. Led by Todd McVicker. Really love that trip. A worship team is going back to Mexico. We had an incredible time. That's right. Pastor Danielle leads that trip. It's an incredible opportunity. The last time they went on a trip, we had a ministry. This is a cool story. This actually had nothing in some ways to do with worship, but our Miss Thomas, the lady Ellie Thomas that lives there, had a goal. She wanted to work in a public nonprofit that was run by the mayor's wife. And they said, we need some window. We need some way to be able to minister. And so they all got on their knees one night and asked God to give them a window. And the next day at Starbucks, the personal assistant to the mayor's wife walked up and go, who are you? What are you doing? And we're now over a year ministering in that nonprofit to girls rescued within the government. It's a really cool story there, and they're going back to do a great trip. Adult Mexico, this is a trip next June. I'm going to go a little quicker because you're going to be able to go to each one of these areas and talk with the leaders. Adult Mexico, fantastic opportunity to go and minister in Cuernavaca. Our middle school trip is going just a week after that one is over. Our middle school team, that is any campus that has a middle school student, can send their child. Adult Peru, really fantastic. This is our third or fourth trip. One thing you'll know about Adult Peru, when you go to look at that table, no matter what we do every year, Gerardo always has a better area. Now he's got a grass wall. I think next year he's going to have he's going to smuggle in Peruvian children. No matter what happens, he's the guy that got everything started. So go meet Gerardo. He leads a great team. Family Nicaragua trip, another opportunity to take your family and go minister. That's led by the Santa Marias, and a fantastic opportunity. That's with LifeLink, our partners. That's are graduating their first graduating class. They're hitting their 12th year this year in December. Their school runs December to December. Fantastic opportunity, great trip right there. High School Nicaragua, just a week after that one, or it's actually the day after, also where our high school team will be going next year. Young adult team to Mexico. Fantastic opportunity. I believe that area is over there, and that is really exciting. Very cool. All right, Adult Mexico. I think I'm going to go a little even quicker. Another family, Nicaragua. Adult Ecuador. Young adult Angola. Some of you may have met the Kilo family. They're incredible ministry team, husband and wife, and is it 3 children? 4 children? It's several children. 4, yeah. Incredible family ministering in Angola. If you've ever heard or thought that you wanted to go minister to people that very real, have never even heard the name Jesus before, that's an opportunity. Fantastic trip. This is our first trip there. Great leadership team with, I believe that's with Chad and Kadilsha. Is that correct? So really excited about that trip. A little bit more expensive, but you're going into the bush of Africa. Really an amazing trip. I'm actually quite jealous about that trip. Adult France. Before you get too excited, this is not to go look at the Eiffel Tower. This is actually an incredible opportunity with a new partner led by Pastor Aaron Bourne, our men's pastor, and his wife are going to be leading that trip. That's actually working with refugees. If you know it or not, France is an area, much like Clarkston, that brings in a lot of refugees, and so this is a way to work within refugee camps. Really fantastic trip. I don't know if there's a free day. You may see the Eiffel Tower, but please don't think that's your trip. So, all right, Community Transformation Peru. That's a team, if you need to be a part or to join beforehand, part of one of our local outreach teams. If you don't know, we've changed the name of our local outreach teams to Community Transformation Teams. Those teams are going to go on an international trip and work on how they can better work within the local community here also. Am I going too fast? Y'all good? All right. Adult Budapest in Vienna. This is, yeah, Sierra's excited. She should be. This is one we planned. We planned to work with this ministry last year. Another one that we had to cancel very painfully. But this is where you get to go into multiple countries ministering. Really exciting ministry we're working with. Very evangelistic. You need to be comfortable sharing your faith, but a really fantastic trip and a way to see a couple countries for really a reasonable price too. Adult Ireland is a trip led by our own Ginger Hughes. This is a ministry. You know, Ireland is a very difficult country to break through. A very difficult country to win people to Christ. We have a family that's been running a church there for quite a long time. The grace on them is amazing. They have a lot of friend churches and things. This is us building them up, helping them win people to Christ. tough. I've ministered, lived in England. Western Europe's tough, and this is a great opportunity for you to have an impact in that area. Our men's ministry is going to Mexico next November. Great opportunity with that. That's led by Wayne Wasmus, and a fantastic trip there. And we finish up the year with a tour. We do not call Israel trips missions trips. They are tours. They are not, therefore, tax deductible. Our Vita team goes next year. The following year will be a more English-speaking team. If you want to go on the Vita Israel trip, you certainly need to know fluent Spanish, as all instruction, all explanations, everything will be completely in Spanish. We have a wonderful, incredible guide. She's an amazing person over in Israel that does an incredible job doing. Actually, she does it in both Spanish and in Russian. So anyway, but she's a monster, and we're excited about that. So those are our 2022 trips. All right. So now what we would like to do is let you guys move to the trip guide. So this is, guys, kind of look up here. This is how you will find things. Did I go right through Mexico? I want to stop real quick. I kind of messed up one. We are doing something I cannot find that has been done before. I'm sure it has. I don't have any question. I don't think we're like some kind of pioneers here or something. But at the same time, our online team, I think I just read Adult Mexico, Stephen. I probably didn't serve you quite well there. But our online team, we are taking an online mission trip. What that means is somebody that watches our service every weekend in Chicago, in New York, in wherever, Peru, we're going to have a time that we meet in Mexico City at the airport as a team and go do our trip in Mexico. All training will be done online, obviously. Everything will be done online. So it's quite just a fantastic opportunity. But we do need you to be part of the online community to be a part of that. They'll be able to explain that to you right there. So, all right. Y'all give me a second. I got to make sure I'm not messing up. Yep. All right. So we're going to dismiss for a period, and you may move about to each individual. You guys see it? We'll have to try and light up back there a little bit better. You can go ahead and mill about and get to know the trip leaders. Thank you.
Let's go.
Hold up, wait a minute.
If I could interrupt, I blew it, which is not that abnormal. If you are interested in either the high school or the junior high trip, we actually have a space for that right here and a QR code, and I was supposed to pull that out and forgot to. So if those are either one of those trips are what you're looking for, they are on each side of the stage. I was supposed to set that up in front of you guys and forgot. Thank you.
If ye love me, keep my commandments, and I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. He may abide with you forever, forever. Forever, forever.
Please now turn it over for the second side.
If I could interrupt for 1 second. We're getting a lot of questions about what's next. We're going to be doing this for another few minutes, and then we will all, can I get everyone's attention for a second? They're not listening. Hey guys, I'm going to interrupt. I need everyone looking up here real quick. Very quick. All right, we're getting a lot of questions about what's next. You're going to be finishing up here in the next few minutes. We're coming back here. We're going to talk about what a victory trip is, a little bit about what a victory trip is not, maybe seeing some things on partnerships. Again, the part on fundraising is our very last thing. We'll make that very clear. Some of you may or may not want to remain for that. But we will be moving back into a bit of a group meeting here in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Soyez fécondes, multipliez, remplissez la terre et l'assujettissez, et dominez sur les poissons de la mer, sur les oiseaux du ciel, et sur tout animal qui se meut sur la terre. Dieu vit tout ce qu'il avait fait, et voici, cela était très bon. Ainsi, il y eut un soir, il y eut un matin. Ce fut le 6e jour.
This is your 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning. We're about to come back. All right, we're going to ask you to start making your way back to your seat, please. Get those last questions in, please. Did you guys get your questions answered? Did you get your questions answered? Good. Which trip you going on? Nice. Very good. Nice. I wish I'd have started traveling then. That's going to be a great trip. Yeah. There you go. Very good. Let's make our way back, please. Who's decided which trip they're going on? Who already knows where they're going? Very cool. Who's going on more than one trip? Raise your hand if you're going on more than one. Very good. Yeah, that doesn't shock me. We got our missionaries in the room. That's awesome. Trip leaders, I'm going to ask that you start sending your people back, please. All right, thank you so much. One thing we thought we would do is let you guys hear from some people that have been on trips, raised money, had a great experience. We picked two of our apprentices. We have an apprenticeship program that we are building up new team leaders. If you guys heard that story of the fact that Pastor Johnson wants every single family, for every member to have gone on 3 international trips plus Israel. I was doing the math the other day. If 35% of our church followed that direction, that sounds like a horrible goal, right? But let's just use that as an example. That would require 85 trips a year. So we're moving forward, building up leaders and things, but really great, two really great friends that wanted to give a testimony about their trip experience. First up is Alex Small. She's actually just back from Mexico, ministering with our forward team and also teaching soap. You can come on up. And a dear friend to our ministry. So let's welcome Alex Smalls.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to get up here just for a brief moment to greet all of you. And I love missions. I've been on several trips over my time here, my years here at Victory. And I just love taking myself out of my normal day-to-day and going off and connecting with other people and living through their eyes and bringing Jesus wherever I can. So I hope that's on your heart as well. So one thing that I just wanted to encourage you all about is, we just spent time, you went around and looked at the different trips, and sometimes the costs can look a little scary. I remember a couple of years ago, it was like really heavy on my heart to go to Thailand because there's an organization there that rescues children from sex trafficking. And I looked at the trip costs, and at the time I was working part-time, and I'm just like, there's no way. There's no way that I can pay for this trip, and I'm not really a fan of fundraising. But I just felt like God was whispering to my heart, like, hey, don't look at that. Just start taking the steps of faith. Sign up for the trip. Write your fundraising letter. Just start doing those things and watch me work. So I did, and I said, okay, Lord, I'm just going to start walking in that direction. And I tell you what, anonymously, someone donated $500 to my account, and that covered my deposit and then some. And I said, okay, I see that you're showing up here. So I continued to just send my letters out and, do the things that I knew to do. And I tell y'all, I went to Thailand. So I just want to encourage you that, if you're called, if it's on your heart and the Holy Spirit is leading you in a direction, don't let those things hinder you. Still walk it out, still walk faith, and just trust in the Lord. We got to do our work, so that doesn't go away, but he comes through. So be encouraged.
Thank you, Alex. Also, Misty, why don't you come on up? Misty Ellen Montier is also someone that has been on, has been on trips, and she wanted to give her testimony. And we're excited to have that. She's also an apprentice and going to be leading trips starting 2023. So let's give her a hand.
Good morning, everyone. Like Pastor Farrell said, my name is Misty. I've actually been a member of Victory since 2010. And like Alex, I love missions. As soon as I actually joined Victory, my very first missions, it was a local missions, but we went down to Nashville. And so ever since then, I've actually been on 4 missions trips total. So I've been to Africa, I've been to Mexico, and then I also went down to Houston a couple of years ago for the flood relief. But the one trip that actually has stood out the most to me is the one to Sierra Leone. And so I went in 2017, and the trek there it's a tough trek, but once you get there, the ministry there is Joshua International Ministry, and it's a school. And so we actually got to go there and teach the girls. And we also took like supplies and things like that. And like Alex said, like the thought of fundraising can be a little bit daunting, but once you take that step of faith or that leap of faith, you just kind of have to set in your mind, pray obviously about, where you should go and where God is leading you. And once you make that decision on where you feel God is directing you to go, don't be afraid to ask. You have to ask as many people as possible and know your why, your purpose for why you're going. And know that it's not about you. It's about, God and God getting the ultimate glory about, what it is that you're going to do. So once you know that you're going to go, just start telling as many people as possible, about, this endeavor that you're doing, this journey that you're going to be doing. Just be open, have an open heart to receive, and you'll be surprised once you start telling people about what it is that you're going to do. A lot of people will be willing to help. And sometimes funding will come from mysterious sources. Just like Alex, like I had somebody like anonymously give like $500 to me for the trip that I went on to Africa. And so, God just kept showing up, as far as like the funding. And so I was able to go, and, it was like the opportunity of a lifetime. You're going there to share the love of Christ. You're going there to show people hope. But also what you get in return, you get the same kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? You also get to see, the things that we take for granted here, in the U.S. A lot of these countries that we're going to are impoverished, countries. But the people are so loving and receiving and open that you also, get that back in return. So that's not necessarily why you're going, but know that, it is kind of an outcome of, what might happen. And then it just broadens your eyes and your perspective. It teaches you humility. You have to have patience. You have to be flexible, about the trip and, where you're going and stuff like that. So it's definitely, worthwhile experience. So I encourage you all to go on a missions trip.
Thank you, Misty. That's really great. That's really fantastic. Let's see, is Katrina White in the room? Katrina White, are you here? Or let's see, I got one more. I'm calling an audible if you guys are wondering what I'm doing. Jasmine Jones, are you in here? They both just signed up for trips. They didn't stay in the room. I was going to give them some money, but oh well. All right, I'm just kidding. Oh, now they're in the room. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we may throw them something. They're the first two people to sign up for trips from today, so very cool. We haven't even shown you guys how yet, and they figured it out. How awesome is that? So really cool. So, all right, well, let's move to why go on a missions trip. First of all, I have been on a lot of missions trips. I've crossed the North Atlantic 217 times. So, been to the African continent 67 times. This is my career, if you will. And so, I have to sometimes think back to my first trip, which was before many of you were born, which would be in 1992. And but in all of that, I believe that seeing the world, kind of what Misty just shared with us, not just seeing the poverty, but also seeing the love. I think both of those things, I really was glad that she said both of those items, that seeing each of those things can be life-changing and can give you an idea really for why Jesus died, for who he died for and give you the impact to be able to reproduce yourself throughout the world. You cannot believe in hell or eternity and not want to change the world. So we impact nations. It's one of our 4 pillars here at this church, and that's why we go on trips. Our goal is to change the world and change ourselves. How many of you guys know that God is not a debtor to any man? He will never owe you, and so whatever you give out, we've found it. I mean, God, very scripturally speaking, God does not have favorites. I, however, am not God. So like I got Kim Keller here, one of my favorites. She goes on trips. I mean, I got favorites, there's people in this room, Michael Anna fills in the back, people that have gone on trips, been changed, and watched what God did, because when they gave out, God gave back and grew them and built them. Kevin, you've been to, how many times have you been to the Gulf to serve people that have been flooded and things, and I've just watched him grow and things. You don't go to change your life, but you don't get away without your life being changed. That was actually pretty good. I didn't plan to say that, but that's actually worth saying again. You don't go to change your life, but you don't get a choice once you go. You actually don't get a choice. Wow, coined that one. But anyway, so some of the things that are going to get asked, will I be safe? Will I have to get vaccinated? I've already had 4 people in this room ask me that already today. Do I need previous experience, and what will I get out of it? Well, I can tell you right now, that last one, I'll never be able to tell you. It's amazing. I've gone on a trip, and what God did for me, you'll have these debriefs when you get back, and it's like, here's what God showed me, and I'll sit next to somebody that went on the exact same trip, and what they got was something completely different, because God wanted to do something completely different with them. All I can say is you'll get exactly what God has for you, which is all good. It's all good, it's all strong, and it'll actually build you in things. Let's go on to the vaccinations questions. We have been sending people to Africa, India, different places with required vaccinations for years. We are a church that does not give medical advice. We're not doctors. If the country, and of course a lot of people are concerned about COVID, if the country has a requirement, I'm not smuggling you in. I'm not going to have a means to get you in without following that. I'm also we're not going to make you do something. That's going to be a personal choice of yours, but our team's going to Angola. You're not getting in without a yellow fever vaccination, without a dengue fever vaccination, because that country's not going to let you in. And so we are going to follow that country's guidelines, but let you make your own medical decisions. Talk to your doctor. Don't come to Pastor Farrell. Don't come to Pastor Stephen. Don't come to Pastor Johnson. We don't know how to spell vaccination, so we're not going to give you medical advice. What we're going to do is tell you this is what the country requires. Currently speaking, I know of 4 countries that are requiring vaccinations for COVID. And I believe 2 of those right now are in play, Israel and the Philippines. Well, but let's be honest, I don't expect it, but Mexico could announce tomorrow, if you're coming into that country, it will require that. We'll let you know. We'll let you make your decision. Is that clear? We're not giving medical advice. We're not qualified to give medical advice, but we will tell you once we know there are anything. Do I need previous experience? No. Of course not. No, we're going to have team meetings, and you're going to attend those. We're going to be talking about that in a second, but you're going to have team meetings. Real quick, a lot of people think the team gets built on the trip. If you're not a team before you left, you're never going to become a team. Team meetings are very important. When we were talking about with Alex and with Misty, that they're in a program called our apprenticeship program. I've worked with the leaders that are working and training them. I've said all along, hey, one thing, my last meeting, I do my last meeting. Several people in this room have been on trips with me. Big deal is my final meeting. We're praying, we're taking communion, and we're dealing with anything right now. If you don't like Edwin, if you don't like something about Pharaoh, this is the time to tell me. Don't tell me at 2 in the morning after we've served in Mexico together. Let's find it out now. Let's deal with it, right, brother? You know, that type thing. And so let's figure out what we need to figure out on that last meeting in that time of communion and things. And so that's that. So let's move on to the next slide. Will you be safe? We're going to do everything we can to keep you safe. Will you be safe? You be safe. Pay attention. Listen to the Holy Ghost. We've had scenarios. We've had teams that were overseas where the Lord just spoke to somebody and they moved on, and I believe that was God keeping them safe. In our current program, now we're using something called Go Method. I generally every morning will look at the teams that are out of the country and pray for every person name by name. We've had everyone come home. We're not going to lose anyone, but I need you to be vigilant with that also. Real quick, we have global partners worldwide. When we're sending teams out, except for probably France, and this is our first trip to Angola, though we've known the Kilo family, for many years, we generally have experienced what you are going to experience, or at least worked with these ministries. Several of the ministries you're going to work with are actually birthed out of victory. Who's interested in Nicaragua? Let's use that one as an example. That is a ministry birthed out of the original first missions pastor of this church, Mike and Deborah Turner. They graduate, I think it's 400, no, it can't be that many. No, I'm sorry, that's quite wrong. But we graduate the first class ever. They started 13 years ago. They started a school with kindergartners, and they've gone year after year adding another grade while that first grade is going up. We go and graduate that group. I believe it's December 4th. I could not be prouder to be able to go and see that. Some of our most successful trips to that group, but birthed right out of victory. Not every building's been paid for by victory, but several have, of those classrooms that you'll see, things of that nature. And so really fantastic partners that we've worked very hard to help build and strengthen. Let's talk a minute about trip preparation. So, you've seen the different QR codes. That can take you to this, but to register for a trip, we go to victoryatl.com/missionstrips. You're going to complete the application, pay the non-refundable deposit, and complete all requirements. Now, I raced through that, but now we'll back up. Completing the application, doing all of this does not put you on the team. We do give our trip leaders the ability to make some determinations of what the team needs, things of that nature. And so if there's a question, they would be calling you. You will see on there potentially a physical question. Can you walk in 90-degree heat 3 miles? Please don't answer yes if you haven't done that in 30 years. With all level of respect, we took, I want to be careful. Of course I don't know every person in this room, but we took someone to Central America one time that had said yes, he could do that. What we found later is we had to literally get him emergency back on a plane and fly him home. He had been on life support in the last 6 months. Please be smart. Guys, this may not be your year if you've had a major health challenge, if something's gone on in your life. Be wise. We don't know what you know, so please be careful with that type thing. There is something very important on there that talks about our financial policy. A lot of people get very confused. They think what I'm doing is paying for a trip. Isn't that kind of what it feels like? We walk over there, what's that, $1,400? That's what it costs for me to go on this trip. That is not how the IRS considers the trips, except for Israel. In any trip except Israel, they're actually donations are what you were making. We want you to be able to get the tax donation ability of going on a trip. But what that means is you're actually not paying for the trip. And I'm going to explain this quickly to you the way an IRS official taught me at a seminar about this very subject. This is my space, so it's something I actually have attended some seminars on. But anyway, it's like this. Edwin, I'm going to use you as an example. You put $1,000 on a trip. You actually didn't pay for Edwin to go on that trip. What he did is he made a donation to missions. And then I'm supposed to go, and this is exactly how the IRS official told me to do it. Man, wouldn't it be cool if I took Edwin with me to Mexico? Do you guys get the difference? He didn't pay for a trip. We determined that would be a great person to bring along on the trip. Of course, we're going to determine that if your trip is paid for. But in order for it to be a donation, it has to be a donation, not a payment. What's the difference? It is extremely difficult by IRS guidelines for us to refund your money. Make sure you have the time from work. Make sure you have what you can to be able to make the trip. Are there ever any exceptions? Very few. Very few. We have certainly had a member come down with cancer that we made a determination, our leadership team, to refund it, but technically you are not to be refunded donations. Is that clear? You'll see that on that guideline. You sign that and agree to that on the website. We're going to get to this a little bit later, but I feel like I ought to tell you real quick. Great example is a lot of the younger people want to use GoFundMe to pay for their trip. We have had a nightmare with that. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but let me kind of give you a great example. We had somebody raise $1,900 to go on a trip off GoFundMe. Well, we got a check for $1,900. We gave it, put it on her account. She went on the trip. That next January, I must have had 15 phone calls. I need my tax-deductible receipt for my gift to Sally. We had a $1,900 check from GoFundMe. We don't know who there's no way I could administer that. The money didn't come to me. It went to GoFundMe, and of course, they don't give tax-deductible receipts. So things of that nature can get really hairy. So please pay attention. Don't just, not like with your credit cards where you go scroll down to the bottom, just check I agree with all this. Make sure you pay attention to what our policies are because they're very important. Pay the non-refundable. Everybody say non-refundable deposit and complete our requirements. So, all right, let's keep moving. Next up is trip preparation. Start fundraising. We have some things on Missions at Victory on YouTube. I don't know if it's the one. I think they have one of me teaching how to raise funds, but I'll go ahead and warn you, I was teaching youth, so it's a little bit sassy. But anyway, and things of that nature. We also have the Kilo family, who, again, run the ministry in Angola. They are monsters at raising support. And when they used to bring teams, they would actually teach those teams how to raise money. And so we have a multi-part, I believe I'm correct, a long training that they give, which is much better than mine. I'll go ahead and admit that. So you want to watch that one. Meet with your team. Please don't miss team meetings. Again, there's nothing worse than thinking you're going to become a team member on a flight. Let's go ahead and get to know each other. Let's learn each other's strengths, and in a lot of ways, more importantly, let's go ahead and learn everybody's weaknesses. Learn everybody's weakness. Wow, at the end of the meeting, that guy gets a little bit, he gets cranky. Go ahead and figure that out, right? Go ahead and just figure that out, and let's just know that and work together in love. Meet your payment goals. Guys, we have a policy at this church that I follow emphatically. The trip never goes in the red. What does that mean? Edwin, I'm picking on you like crazy. So Edwin misses a goal, and I've got to buy tickets for the team. Edwin has $1,200 in. The ticket costs $1,400. Edwin's not going on that trip. Otherwise, I've got to stop everybody's ticket and hope it remains at $1,200. We've made the mistake of trying to extend grace and then cost everyone $1,400 for the tickets because the tickets became more expensive. We don't do that. Does everyone understand that? Meet your financial goals. Talk to your coaches. We coach Alex gave a great testimony about raising funds. Well, she's one of the leaders. Her and Pastor Todd. Talk to them. Get them to pray with you. Walk through some other ideas, things of that nature. Make sure you're actually doing the legwork, but make sure you meet those payment goals. And pray for the trip and team. Pray for the trip and team over and over and over. One of the reasons we have a process called our apprenticeship program is I actually had a pastor tell me, hey, could you just have my team meet me at the airport? That's not a team again. That would be my team. That means I prepared everyone, right? So we actually have really important team meetings, but pray for your trip, pray for your team, and continue with that. Let's move to our policy. I guess I kind of got ahead of myself, but it's actually, if you guys can't tell, the financial issue becomes an issue for a lot of people. Oh, I need all my money back. I, whatever, lost my job or whatever else and things. It becomes a real factor. So let's make sure that we pay attention to that. Donations are just that. They're donations. I cannot refund if someone were to give Kevin Adams $1,000 for a trip. If I have to refund, I don't refund him the $1,000. I give it back to the person that made that donation either way, right? So there's some technicalities on that you need to pay attention. Deposits are always non-refundable. Why? Because there's a lot of cost involved. We've spent a lot of money even preparing these trips. I have deposits on trips, deposits on a lot of things right now. So that is not refundable. Again, pay attention to the policy, and I think I got ahead of myself. Everybody knows the GoFundMe, why that's up there, right? You guys remember from 4 minutes ago? I'm sure you do. So next is passports and visas. Guys, please, I don't know if you know this, it is taking much longer than it used to take 3 to 4 years ago. It has become a little bit of a quagmire. I just had to get mine. It's never a good thing when the missions pastor can't travel, but I actually had 3 weeks where I couldn't travel, even though I'd gotten well ahead of time applied. It took over 8 weeks for me to get mine. And so please, if you do not have your passport, that's the first thing you should do. You should do that before you register for the trip. If you don't have your passport, or if you haven't seen it in 10 years. So, quite seriously now, you know your trip dates now, right? The rule, this is a rule for every country, including America. You don't go on your trip unless you have 6 months past your return date. So the fact that it's valid today, take a look at it. If you're going on a trip next March, you need to move 6 months from that to October. When you're back, you need to still have 6 months. Why? Well, you could get sick over there and sit there for 6 months. Very unlikely, but that's what their concern is. So make sure that you not only have a passport and that it's valid, but it's valid basically through the end of next year. Does that make sense? If you don't have one, apply today. Apply today. Go ahead and hop on the websites and do that. And we will go from there. Requirements for that, I'm not sure why I put that up there. I want to be careful. No question about it, you've got to give a birth certificate, things of that nature, if you never had one before. If you're renewing, it's a bit easier than that. So you can hop on the sites. That's a very easy process. I do not suggest, although I use them because a lot of times I'm having to expedite, you don't need to use a private company to get a passport. You can do that and run to the, you don't need to use a private company to walk that through. That can cost another extra $250, and it's a pretty easy process. And for the government, the way they explain it on the website is actually pretty reasonable. So, all right, real quick, we're going to go back to the subject of the day. Everybody tell what I keep getting asked right now? Who knows what everybody's asking about right now? So anyway, vaccinations. You can look on state.gov, the CDC website. You can find out what individual countries require. You can ask your doctor. We'll tell you what they require, but we're not going to give medical advice. We're not doctors, but you can go to travel.state.gov is the best website to determine that. That is our State Department travel site, travel.state.gov to get there. Guys, I recognize, and I'm about to say something, but I am not telling you how you need to feel about any of this. I'm a missionary, so you could literally, if it means me being able to get into the world, you can shoot me up with anything. You can tell me that it's radioactive, and I'm just going to pray it doesn't hurt me because I'm going to go serve. So I'm the wrong person to give any advice. I'll just be the first to tell you I've had every shot known to man, dengue, yellow fever, probably Kool-Aid for all I know. But I just have a theory that I just pray that it's not going to hurt me. But you make your determinations on that. make your determinations. But travel.state.gov is where we would suggest you look first to determine that. Once again, I'm not going to be able to change what a country requires. I will do everything I can to help you. We will do everything we can to keep abreast. I'm on a daily email that shows changes throughout the world, things of that nature. The minute we know it, if you've signed up to go to wherever, Timbuktu, and I find out that Timbuktu requires a vaccination, you'll know that within 24 hours. We're going to do our best to let you know what the requirements are, but we won't be able to change that. So let's move. One thing we wanted to tell you about, this is something new. This is kind of just, you guys are already interested in missions work. We have a new department that we have started, and we're very excited about it, called Modern Day Missionary. If you feel called in the mission field, this is something that we're really excited about. We are starting a group of small groups to train and talk through things. Everybody, if you feel called in the ministry, you know, it's not the same for everyone, right? I moved to Russia and lived in Russia as a single guy after I graduated from college. How many know that was a lot easier than if I was married and had 4 kids, all in school age, that needed insurance. And so we're going to start having these conversations, having moments where we are having small groups, having periods of time, having specialists come and talk about what is a sending agency? Why would you do this on your own? How to raise support not for one trip, but for 365 days a year? How can I be a part of moving towards this? Whether you have a 3-year, 5-year, whatever year plan, or you just kind of feel called into missions. By the way, this is full-time missions in America also. But we're going to talk about, how do I educate my children? How do I get insurance? How do I get there? We have people in this room that have lived overseas with none of this training, and it was hard. We're trying to break down some of those walls. If you know somebody that's called in this, Victory member or not, we want to help put people in the mission field. So October 30th, yeah, y'all can tell I'm not wearing glasses. October 30th, it's a Saturday. I can promise it'll be over by 3:30 because the Georgia-Florida game is at 3:30. But so you got to keep your morals, right? So anyway, it's a morning meeting. We have some guests coming in to teach, talk, things of that nature. Also, if you just know someone that feels called, we are starting a process to try and make that easier for you, and we wanted to tell you about that today. So now we're going to move to a Q&A session. Make sure what can we clarify about trips? So we are here and ready to hear any questions. Are you bringing that up front? Okay, got it. So if you have a question, if you can make your way maybe to the mic, anything, or if you just want to, if you really think you can yell it, anything you feel like, man, they didn't tell us this. Yes, ma'am. Whatever you want, go ahead. Sure. Sure. So you mean, is it still an option for you? Yes. So right. So when trips cancel, that is actually when an IRS allows us to actually refund the money. Our friend here, she chose to keep the money in the missions trip. That money is still, we choose this. Again, it's a donation, but we choose to do this. We hold that to her name. And so, yes, that money is available for you to move to a trip. Is that answering your question? Now, we are not big fans of just for the fun of it, you suddenly going, well, I don't want to go anymore, or anything like that. That's more a trip that got canceled. We had 27 that got canceled. If y'all can't tell, that's still grating on my nerves. But yes. Did that answer your question, ma'am? Any other questions, thoughts, lamentations of woe? Did we answer that many questions? Did you guys just feel completely ready, huh? Yep. Yes, please. So the question is, what if I have fully paid for a trip? I'm going to use that example. I believe I heard it. Or 3/4 and something happens and I cannot go. First of all, let's make sure we remember one thing. That deposit, what was it? Non-refundable, right? Because there's a lot of expenses already being paid on that trip. But the rest of the funds, in general, and you'll read this in the policy, we would hold that for you for a future trip. There are some scenarios where we do not, thank you, where we do not lose. We can't, there are some scenarios, unfortunately, if you've gotten sick at a period of point that we've already bought your ticket, we've already paid visa fees, we've already there are funds that have already been spent. There may be some negatives to that in the sense that we'd have to subtract that out. But we are about you going on a trip. We do everything we can, including not going into the red, but coming doggone close to make sure that we can keep some funds for you. If you want to get the money back, oh, praise the Lord. She wants to give the money to somebody else. No, we've had the scenario. I appreciate your heart. Listen, there's somebody in this room that went on a trip. We had a lady that fully funded a trip and then was in a car accident and had a concussive moment that was so strong that, but I'm talking, she had spent $4,000 and we hadn't even bought tickets yet. She didn't want her money back. She goes, no, I put this money in for this trip and the devil's not going to mess it up. And she ended up paying off 3 other people's trips. So, no. And she got healed, by the way. And she'll go on trips this year. She will go on trips this year. So, thank you. Yes, you may do that. I didn't catch the most important part of your question.
Okay, you mentioned that the cost, part of it goes towards visa fees. Can you elaborate more on like what that cost breakdown is, like tickets and any other additional things?
Let me be clear. I can't. It depends on the country. Some countries don't even require a visa. Yeah, so it just depends. We have spent a lot of time. I have a team quite more talented than me, which is the way you're supposed to build a team that has gone line by line to make sure that we've covered everything and things. But to answer conceptually your question, if Angola were to require a visa, and that's $312, we've added that into the cost of what I can't read from here. That's part of that fee, and so you're not going to be asked for that. That was actually part of the donations you made towards that trip. Did that answer your question? Sure. Somebody else had their hand. Yep, right here.
Okay, so in the event that, I know you said multiple new rules and policies are coming out as far as COVID. Say that we're 3/4 payment and a new rule comes out for the country that we're paying on and deposited towards. How would that be as far as transferring your funds to another trip?
So let me make sure I understood the question. So let's say and I'm not using her as an example. Let's say somebody's anti-vax. They've already put $1,500 into a trip, and now that country requires a vaccine. Is that conceptually along the line of what you're asking, and you want to move to a different trip?
Yes.
Yeah, so back to the same policy. We're not going to lose money over that within the department. If there's fees and things that have already been incurred, including your deposit, that would have to be subtracted out. If I've already paid for your visa, God forbid I've already bought your ticket and things of that nature, you get to keep the ticket. You'd have the credit for the money, but we wouldn't be able to refund you what we've already spent. But whatever else was available, I think that's fair to say, Alex, would be transferable to another trip. It's a moving target, guys. We need a miracle. That's what we need. We need to get rid of this dumb virus. Yes, ma'am.
Do I have to be a Victory member to do any of these mission trips?
What an easy question. No. No, you do not. Thank you. Do I have to be a member? Maybe I'll make sure everybody heard that. Do I have to be a member? No.
Is there a maximum number of people per trip?
Great question. Yes, there is a maximum number of people per trip. There usually also are waiting lists. As you can tell, sometimes people fall off in things. But yes, Some teams only have transport for up to 24 or 18, things of that nature. So yes, there are trip size limits. There's also just by choice. Some people in this room have been on trips with me with 97 people. I thought it was great. They seem to think it was great, but others think that's a nightmare. So
Deposits, how will we know, or when will we be required to start, paying deposits? Based on, let's say I'm hoping to leave towards the end. My trip would be the end of the year, September, December, whatever.
So, Alex, maybe you could help a little bit with that. You are not on a team until you filled out the application and made a deposit. Am I correct with that?
Yeah, so what's going to happen when you guys leave this event today, you'll have the ability to register for a mission trip. Anyone who received a goodie bag, which should have been everyone, you'll see that there's actually a QR code where you can register for any of the trips. As you're registering, you'll be creating a profile, but you're also going to be prompted to pay the non-refundable deposit, and that's when you're going to become an official member of the team, and then there's going to be additional requirements that you'll have to fill after you've done that part. So the deposit for most trips is going to be October or November of this year. Does that answer your question?
For the trips that require an application, if let's say after you meet with that team leader, they decide that maybe that's not the trip for you, would your deposit then be applied to another trip, or do you make your deposit after your application has been accepted?
There's a fantastic question. That is one where I would move your deposit. I'm not going to keep your deposit if that was, and I want to be real careful. There are some tough trips, and there may be a few of that. It is most every leader, they're here today on their own time. They're wanting their team full, and they want you to go. But yes, if there was a scenario where if Pastor Aaron Bourne was requiring that you walked 15 miles in 100-degree heat and you couldn't do that, we would certainly move your deposit to Stephen, who only requires 14 miles. Yes, you'd be fine with that. Thank you. I'm not making light of your question. Yes, that's one where we have difficulty is people. We've actually had people sign up for 8 trips with 8 deposits because what they thought is later I'll make a decision and move all my 8 deposits, which held your place and your place and your place from a trip you may have wanted to go on. So that's kind of a little bit of what we're trying to keep from happening.
So I'm going to ask a question about the infamous GoFundMe. I don't know if we already talked about that, but what options do people have for getting people to partner in donating towards their mission trip?
So one of the great things, and you guys, those of you that we have a lot of people in here that have been on many trips, you'll be able to tell this. Others of you that it's your first trip, you won't know it, but we're now using an incredible new software and system called GoMethod. It'll look like you're on our website, but in truth, you're using a great third-party software. They have links for you to be able to use in emails or even in a letter where they'll have a clickable link that will go straight to Kevin Adams where they can make a donation directly to Victory through this software or whomever, and that would be the way you would want to do that. If we do not like those, as we said, just because it causes it. But now we have direct links. Any of you that have suffered through our old system, those days are over. We've got a great new process for that. Alex, did I answer the question you asked?
Mm-hmm. Okay. One more question, because I don't see any more hands. If someone has more questions about the Modern Day Missionary event, who can they talk to that is in this room?
V, right over, I'm just kidding, that's their daughter. Sarah Raby is right here. I probably was supposed to bring her up, I can't remember. But Sarah Raby is, first of all, just a murderer. She's absolutely an absolute monster. Her and her husband started a ministry almost 11 years ago in West Africa, in Benin, and they did exactly what you would want with a ministry. They ran it for 10 years. They hired unsaved people to help them do ministry, led them to Christ, developed them, and the ministry is running, they say, and this isn't my words, better without them now. And they were able to bring these 2 beautiful girls home and educate them here in America. But they want to help other ministries go do that. and so she runs that. And where are you? I don't even remember what. Just raise your hand. Yeah, see right there. Thank you. If you had a question about modern day missionary, I was probably supposed to bring her up because I actually saw her walking this way, but just lack of talent. Sorry.
He's going to stand at the front of the stage if you guys have any questions at the end of the event.
Yeah, thank you. Any more questions? We're going to move to. Yes.
Let's say, I'll start over. Going back to the new software you mentioned, I guess versus GoFundMe. Let's say if someone donates money to us for the trip, we will be able to tell them that that money is tax deductible or no.
So, man, that's the best question. Well, it's a great question. So let's just say this. If you guys want to know what it was like until this year, I used to sit in my office and I could hear Alex or whomever was helping us get a phone call. Did my Uncle Eric mail me a check for $50? And Alex or whomever would have to go find that. You will actually have access to your own account. You'll be able to see who gave to you. You'll be able to see their address and not call me to get it so you can send them a thank you note. And I'm making, I hope you know, I'm not making light of your question. It has been, the Christian word would be hell, what we've gone through. And now what we have is an opportunity for you to be able to see who's given to you, see what's going on, see who you need to thank, who you need to call that swore they were mailing a check, but it hadn't shown up yet, things of that nature. You'll be able to see a lot of those type things. We're still learning the system. All the trips, whether you'll know it or not, are actually in that when you go to sign up. There may be more that you want to say about that. Anything about that process?
I heard him say tax deductible, and I don't know if we addressed that earlier. Were you asking if it was tax deductible? Mm-hmm. Yes. So every mission trip except for our tour to Israel is going to be tax deductible. For the donors, exactly.
Yes, for
they're
the
going to get a
donors.
tax receipt. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really important question. When if someone gives towards your trip, they do get from Victory a tax deductible receipt at the end of or beginning of the next year for their taxes, unless it's Israel, and that's not because of us. That's because of the IRS. You want to know something frustrating? If you go to Israel, it's not tax deductible. But if you go to, what is the Muslim place? If you go to Mecca, it is tax deductible. I can't figure that one out, but not interesting. But anyway, so that's something only a missionary would know. But anyway, excuse me. All right, any more questions? Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. For English speakers? Sure. So what we do is we flip-flop the years, and this is the year that the Hispanic trip. The following year, we are currently in plans. Y'all know about plans, right? Sometimes they change. But right now, the plan is one that actually Pastor Johnson will be leading. Will be probably that same period, December of 2023. And it's a monster of a trip. But that will be 2023. All right, I don't see any more questions. So I'm going to move in just a few minutes, or in just a minute, to fundraising. I don't mean this offensively in any way, shape, or form. Again, if you're somebody that can just stroke a check and you're not really interested in writing letters or anything like that, thank you for coming. You don't have to feel like you have to stay in here. This is just a little quick, not a rah-rah, it's what I've found that works. If you're waiting for it to involve social media, it can, but it doesn't have to. It's more of a scenario of actually getting yourself into a position where you're telling your family, your friends, and everyone how to build that. But I'm going to give maybe just like 60 seconds. If you don't want that, like I said, you're going to stroke a check. There's no shame in that. You're welcome to have a great Saturday afternoon. Go dogs. But we'll get started in fundraising in about 30 seconds. Okay. So, looks like now we're with the people that are interested about fundraising. I'm going to give my method. We also, as I said, have some great videos of some methods with the Kilo families. The Kilo family. Jewel Cha is a monster at raising funds right there. She works in our strategic communication. She's wearing a T-shirt that she sold to raise money to go win Koreans to the Lord. Yeah, that's a nice T-shirt. I have one. I wore it yesterday, and I paid for it because she was raising money. So there's a lot of methods, but I'm just going to tell you what I know works quickly. One of the things that I will say is it requires more than writing a letter. If you think you're going to raise funds by writing letters, praise the Lord, it's very unlikely that you're going to get a lot of money coming in. Now, you might get a little bit. You know, your grandmother may love you just enough that she's not going to require a phone call, and we'll follow that. But at issue is this. Here's the way I have always done fundraising, and I have raised. You heard 67 trips to Africa. A lot of trips that I went on, I raised my own money. I've been over the North Atlantic over 200 times. I've had to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm just going to give you my method. I'm not telling you it's the only method. I'm just going to tell you it works. I will tell you it requires a little bit of discomfort. It requires a little bit of discomfort. I don't care if you write a letter, send an email, a Facebook post, anything like that. However you get the information is kind of your business. I will tell you this, and this is a personal thing. Every time I ever get a letter, I always laugh. It says, I am asking you for two things. I am asking you to pray for my trip, and I'm asking you to consider funding it. I would leave that first thing out of there. You can pray. I don't ask for prayer. I actually go, I'm writing this letter because I need your funds. I'm asking you to see if you want to join me in going on this. Here is why I feel called. This part, what I'm about to tell you, is the least important part. But in my letter, I say, I feel called to go to Mexico. I feel called to go to Angola. I feel called to wherever I'm going. I feel the Lord has told me to do this, and I'm asking you to partner with me. I don't ask them for prayer because then they'll go, well, I got an option. I can either pray or give money. And I got to tell you, when I have those two choices, 5 minutes on my knees, now I can go buy lunch, right? You know, so you got to be a little bit careful with that, in my opinion. So I get the letter out, and then I do something very specific, and you guys got to hear this. This is a very specific thing, and I've made it up. It's not scientific. I am a salesman. I've made a lot of money selling stuff, but this is not a sales technique. I send a letter however I send it. Facebook, email, the slowest mail possible, you know, stamp, whatever else. And then I wait 10 days. And then I call them. And I go, Nora, did you get the letter? You know what Nora usually says? Oh, maybe. Possibly, right. So here's the deal. I need you to read that letter, Nora. I need you and Edwin to pray about it, look over it, think through it, consider it. I'm going to call you in 7 days. Did you guys hear that part? I'm going to call you in 7 days. You know what usually happens at 7 days? I call, oh, God, Farrell, we forgot. Well, I'm not going 7. Now I'm splitting in half. I'm calling you in 4 days, then 2 days, then 1 day. I call personally until I get a no. or a check. It's not that big a deal, guys. This isn't heavy. You're not asking them for $1 million. I call until they either give me a check or go, you know what, we prayed about it. We actually don't think I have no problem with that, you know. But I send a letter. I don't ask for prayer. You can. Stephen Hadaway would ask for prayer. He would, and not a bad idea for him. But for me, I don't ask for prayer. But what I do is then I chase them. Not that sounds negative, but I chase them. I call them. Hey, have you prayed about it? You want me to pray with you about it? You know, that type of thing. And of course, I'm saying, hey, here's what happened when I saw that trip. They had these cool pipe and drape things. I walked over. The guy had a grass skirt on, and I walked up and felt called to go on it. Not a grass skirt, a grass wall, whatever you call it. That came out wrong. But anyway, you know, I believe I'm called to Peru. I believe I'm supposed to do this. I need help. Here's where I am. Here's some cool things. You know, one of the things that I liked when Alex was talking earlier. So somebody just, what was it, $500? Mailed in Hey, I just got a $500 check out of nowhere. God's moving. Is he telling you to do anything? What is he doing? But I ask for decisions. Are you guys hearing that? I'm going, hey, have you prayed about it? What's the Lord telling you? I know I'm called. I know I'm called. It's not, I think I'm called. I hope I'm called. And I just keep moving it along that way. I will tell you this. Some of you know this. I spoke on Stone Mountain for one race. Very unfortunately, I come from the family that produced Nathan Bedford Forrest, the founder of the Ku Klux Klan. I don't come from great genes. Let me just go ahead and tell you that. I didn't grow up in a multicultural church. I grew up being told horrible things about my black and brown brothers. I didn't grow up in church. You guys hear that. I've been delivered. I've been set free. But I need you to hear that. My racist grandfather funded a lot of my trips to go win people to Christ in Africa. Never, ever assume who's going to pay for you to go on a missions trip. And if you're offended by that, his money was green, and I went and won people to Christ. It didn't absolve his sin. It didn't do anything that I know of for him. He did get saved in the end, by the way, but thank God. But I ask everyone. I never assume that only Christians will give me money. I ask anybody I know to give money. We have a ministry. I shot through. We're going on a trip to Ecuador. I've done a poor job. I'm very excited. This is our first time going to